Welcome to Sales Warrior War Room.
Hey everybody, welcome to the March episode of Sales Warrior War Room. Got a really special guest, Josh Clark, coming to us all the way from California, USA. He calls himself the Solar Dude. You're going to find out all the reasons why he's the Solar Dude, and also you're going to learn about his sales expertise. So really excited about everything, Josh, that you're going to bring to the table. Say hello to everybody at Sales Warrior War Room.
Sales Warrior War Room.
Isn't that fun to say? War Room. Every time I have a guest, they want to say it. Go ahead.
I've heard you do that.
Awesome. So, I'll kind of kick things off unless there's anything specific you want to, mention to folks just to kick things off.
No, well, yeah, I'll follow your lead, John.
Awesome. So I want everybody to know, so out on Amazon right now, I think this happened maybe 2 months ago. So Josh Clark out of California, he released a book, and it's on, being a professional referral. Oh, there it is. Excellent. You're holding it up. That's good. So it's called The Ultimate Referral Machine. Turn every customer into a cash flowing, lead generating machine. And man, I think that's awesome because it really caught my eye, because most sales guys like me, not so much you, but most sales guys all the time, they're like scratching their head, man, why am I not getting more referrals? Like it's got to be the thing that like people work the least amount on.
I would agree with that.
It's unfortunate. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. I also on the book, I got a lot of great feedback on it. A lot of people have read it. I have an updated manuscript that will be live in the next probably 10 days. So there was a couple of just grammatical errors, and I made it flow a lot better, and took some feedback and made it even better. So in about 10 days, it'll be the new manuscript. But thank you for taking the time to read it. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Hey, if you want to hear the hierarchy, so I read your book, I read a book on Eddie Van Halen, and I read a book by Arnold Schwarzenegger. So like you were in the mix.
I was in that mix. Hey, that's not a bad mix to be in.
Yeah, man, you got to tickle the brain when you've been in sales a long time. Okay, so let's talk through something which I think is always important when you talk to somebody for the very first time. So your very first sales job, I believe, was in healthcare. Is that right?
No, my very first sales job, was not in healthcare. It was actually in the gym industry.
Oh, well, and that's what I'm kind of referring to, like fitness.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry,
Fitness,
yeah.
Correct.
Not that you were a pharmacy rep, but in the fitness industry.
Correct.
So, I mean, obviously you're super successful now, but a lot of people start out in sales. They really need to know that, like, people that consider themselves sales gurus, you didn't just like go into your first sales gig and you weren't a sales guru. Talk a little bit to folks about like what it was like to be a young man, get that first sales gig, and kind of maybe the butterflies that were rocking in your stomach, and what was going on then.
Yeah, so I started at 20, I believe it was 19 or 20, in the fitness industry. And my first sales job, I had it's in my book, my opening story. I won't go into it here, but I had a lot of obstacles and people that just didn't think that I had what it took to be in sales. And so had to get past that. And I finally had the general manager of a Gold's Gym back in 2000, Jennifer Morgan, gave me my shot, and she let me be on the sales team. I had strict goals. And I really got put in trial by fire. I lucked out and had
Yeah.
a great trainer who took me under his wing. And what happened was it was my very first day on the job, and I was
Uh-huh.
supposed to be training for a week. And I remember a car pulled up. We were doing pre-sales at a Gold's Gym. The gym wasn't built yet, and
Oh,
he was
wow.
like, "Hey," he's like this couple coming up. Watch me, watch what I do. And so we basically were going around and selling a vision of a gym that wasn't there, and actually collecting money and signing people up for a gym that's not going to be there for the next 9 months. And so
Oh, wow.
the couple walks in the door, and I'm like, this is gonna be great. Like I'm gonna learn like from the man himself. And
Yeah.
shortly after, another car pulls up, and then another, and his name's Damian Fernandez. He goes, hey,
Yeah.
he goes, hey, hey, trial by fire, like you're taking the next one. And I was like, what? I don't day one, I don't even know what to do. He's like, figure it out. And so that's how I got my taste in sales was I
Yeah.
hopped in there and I had to do it. And yeah, there's no way like learning like just jumping in there and trial by fire,
Right.
sink or swim. And so
Absolutely.
I
So,
think that was the best thing that could have
what's
happened.
that?
And I think that was the best thing that could have happened to me is just starting off,
Yeah.
just jumping in head first.
Absolutely. So I want to talk a little bit about like the uncertainty that people have when they first start out in sales. Because like what's so awesome after you've been in sales a really long time, you become like really confident in what you're doing. But you certainly don't start out that way. And anybody listening to this podcast, you're not going to start out that way either. So what was it like that very first time that you had to like ask somebody to buy a membership?
Yeah, it's definitely not something that's natural. I found out real
Yeah.
quick. It's not a natural thing to
Right.
especially if people give you an objection, like I want to think about it, talk to the spouse or whatever it is, and then you're expected to, hey, what is it that you need to think about, or how much too much is it? Like it's not natural. So going through that is a learned skill. You have to
Yeah.
develop thick skin. And yeah, it really is a skill. It's a true skill. Some people are born with more of it than others, but it really is something
Yeah.
that you learn. And and as you learn over time, I think you've been doing sales 34 years, if I'm not mistaken. I've been doing sales 25 years at this
Oh,
point.
wow.
Um,
Okay.
it's something that you definitely develop over time, and you hone, and you never perfect it. You just get better. But yeah, you just realize how to connect with people. But the very first sale is nerve wracking. You have all the emotions. You want to get your first sale. You don't know what to expect, but it's just like with anything. Usually, your first podcast, your first sale, your first time you ride a bike, you're not going to be the best. But the more reps you get, then you slowly start to understand, and you start to become polished, and then you start going, "Hey, I can do this."
Josh, so I'm curious. So Damien, he must have been like a pretty tenured sales guy, I'm guessing, right?
He took me under his wing,
Yeah.
and he was the one that kind of showed me the ropes. And yeah, he believed in me and gave me my first shot along with Jennifer Morgan in the gym industry. And they both believed in me. And they once they gave me my shot, I didn't take it for granted. I ran with it and never looked back, and went on
Yeah.
to have 25 years of successful sales career, leading many successful sales teams across multiple industries.
Well, so I want to talk about this just because, like, at that point, you were like going to be a rising star. So as Damien's looking at you, I mean, I'm sure he's looking at him like, I'm going to try and make this guy the best he can possibly be. So when
Yep.
he's leaning into you, not only giving you like that real world interaction, did he turn to you and say, "Hey, here's some cassettes to listen to, or some CDs to listen to," or did he say, "Hey, man, you need to get and buy something to listen to every day"? Did he talk about that or?
No, he
Oh,
gave
okay.
me he gave me a couple of book recommendations, which I
Okay.
bought. Yeah, some Tom Hopkins. I bought, yeah. Yeah, how to master the art of the sale, I believe, was one of the first books I bought. But yeah,
I
yeah,
love that book.
yeah, I still have that book. That was my very first sales book, but a lot of it was just shoulder to shoulder training. That's how I learned best too, is just like
Okay.
watching what people do. And as you know, you
Hmm.
never want to try to be somebody. So I didn't want to try to be Damien. I wanted to try to learn the things that he does and take the things that I like and apply it to my style. And that's
Yeah.
what the best salespeople do that, right? They find people that are at the top, and they take little bits and pieces that fit their personality, and they kind of craft their own personality based upon that. And so, yeah, I learned a
Yeah,
lot from Damien, but I've learned a lot from a ton of other people over the years as well.
man, I love that. That's what I always try to teach. Like when people are struggling, like especially if it's not in my industry, that's what I always say is, man, go buy lunch or dinner for the dude that is selling the most or gal that's selling the most stuff, and
Smartest
you
thing.
just buy it for them and take a notepad and take notes and just let them pour into you, and duplicate whatever the heck they're doing.
Success leaves clues, right? No, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. So, so I always like to ask this question, and I'm going to get into some nuts and bolts in your book, but I want to
Yeah.
understand, like, for me, like in sales, doing it a pretty while, a long time, my whole life, state management, like I know what I do for state management, but I'm always curious for other like high performers, like, so how do you manage state? Like you're sitting in, I'm guessing, your truck when you're getting ready to sit down with a husband and a wife, and maybe not. Maybe you're sitting in a sports car. I don't know. I'm in Texas. I'm guessing.
So, like, what's your question? How do I prepare when I'm going to an appointment, or what's the question?
Yeah, that's like state management. Like I know what I do. I listen to Metallica if I'm walking into.
Okay.
I'm not, I don't go in cold. I might even listen to myself doing a sales spiel. Like
Okay.
I'm not going to go in cold. I want to hear like what do I sound like when I'm stoked. I don't want to go in like just completely cold. But I'm just curious, like for yourself, like
Yeah.
I met. Is it just one person, just yourself, when you go into most of your presentations in a home?
Yeah, it's just me. So when I'm going into a
Okay.
home, it's gonna be just me, usually meeting with a husband and a wife in their home
Mhm.
at their kitchen table. Um,
Okay.
a lot of my customers, I'm driving anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours away. Probably an hour is a good like average distance that I travel. And so I do have a lot of window time. And what I kind of do the same thing every time. I
Mhm.
listen to Ryan Stewman's Rewire a lot. I'll listen to a ton of
I
those. They're
like
like
it. Okay, ring the bell for
Man,
Ryan.
yeah, that stuff is awesome. I do. I listen to that. They're like 5, 6 minutes, and that really gets me hyped up. Just like it just puts me in the right state of mind. So I'll listen to some of that. I have a bunch of audiobooks, some Grant Cardone stuff I listen to, and I'll usually listen to that type of material all the way until I'm about 5 minutes from the house. And about 5 minutes from the house, I turn that off, and then I put on like music that makes me get in a good mood. And a lot of times it's just like 80s music. I get some 80s
Okay.
rock, and like
Yeah.
maybe I'll put in some Born in the USA, whatever it is, but something that like some John Mellencamp, Small Town. Like I'll put something on that gets me in a good
Yeah.
mood, and so
Okay.
that way I had positivity all the way there, and then I got one of my favorite songs. I'm in a good mood. I show up, and I'm ready to perform.
That's awesome, man. That is just absolute gold. Okay, so now we got you in the house. You're sitting in front of the husband and the wife, and this like really impressed me. I think I do this, but I don't know if I consciously do it like every time. But tell everybody at in the war room like what you do so that you don't get objections.
Yes. So this is something that's kind of just evolved with my style, and I wasn't really even aware of it until I had a co-manager of mine ride along with me and to shadow me, and he was like, "Man," he's like, "You know what you just did?" He's like, "Have you ever seen that movie 8 Mile with B Rabbit that goes gets Papa Doc and he brings up all the stuff that the other guy's gonna say?" He's like, "You do that same thing in the home with objections." And I was thinking about it, and I was like, "You know what? I kind of do. That is exactly what I do. I've never heard it put like that. But what I do is, and I learned this because I would lose a sale because of an objection. It might have been, hey, I don't like
Yeah.
the way panels look in my house, or hey, the system costs too much. And so I would always think about, man, how could I have answered that better? What could I have done? So then the next time I have that, I bring that up proactively. And so I got to a
Yeah.
point where I've heard all these objections. So I consciously weave that into my presentation and I proactively bring up every objection. So I talk about, hey, by the way, if you happen to move, whether you're going to sell the house or life happens, here's what happens with the transfer of the warranties. Hey, by the way, cleaning the panels, here's how you clean the panels. We talk about panel placement, where they're going to go. We talk about everything that could possibly come up as an objection. I pre-approve them before we even get into the presentation. So I know that
Mhm.
a serious buyer and that they can actually move forward with the sale. So I
Right.
do all of this natural conversation. So by the end, if I did my job and I show them savings and they see value in what I did, there's really no objections left. And most of the time, the numbers make sense and they sign up.
Yeah. Yeah. And you do an unreal amount of solar business. I'm going to share that with folks before we sign off, because the numbers that you throw out is just amazing. So I want you to talk a little bit and get into the weeds a little bit, because when you go through your presentation, I read in your book that your presentation is like more questions than it is statements. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do a lot of discovery questions and really let the customer talk more. I always guide them, and sometimes they'll get off track, so I lead them back. But it is a lot of just questions and letting them talk. And I always have an end goal, so like I always could steer the ship back on course. But a lot of it is just asking questions, and it really is helping me pick the right system for them. I've usually built 2 or 3 different systems for them, and I
Mhm.
really am giving my honest, true recommendation on what's going to be best for them based upon how they're answering my questions. And at the same time, they're being more vested and tying in to themselves and seeing themselves owning the product by talking about it. And it's the most beneficial thing that I found.
Absolutely. Well, what I really liked about it was, like, you gave an example, like you just mentioned it about, like, they buy the solar, and then is this your, well, you tell it though, about how you like ask the question so that you can overcome the objection. So that their objection, actually, instead you pose any objection that you might get as them evoking a question, but you get them to ask the question because you asked the question to get them, like it's genius.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of that. Yeah, again, I'm in the solar industry, so there's a lot of ways I'll
Yeah.
do that. I'll show them a lot of information online. I'll pull it up right in Google in front of them and showing them what the utility is doing, and then I'll ask them a question, something like, "Hey, is by the way, is there any good reason if I can show you numbers that save you money month one right out the gate? Is there any good reason that you can think of why it would make more sense for you to stay with the utility?" And they'll sit there and they'll say, "Well, no." And like, "Hey, what are the top 3 things that you love about PG&E, for example?" And a lot of times they're like, "None, nothing." And so you're getting
Yeah.
them to kind of realize their own problem.
Right. I like it. You're actually, what you're doing is you're almost giving like a negative to what they currently own, so they want to own something different. It's like the reverse of a minor yes. Like, a minor yes is, if we can find something that you like today, can you pull the trigger? And
Right.
are you going to feel comfortable pulling the trigger? And and you're kind of, you're saying, okay, you own a piece of this energy company right now, whether you realize it or not. Like, you're
Right.
paying them and they're giving you energy. That's your energy source right now, and you own it. What do you like about it? I don't like anything about it. That's great. Like, you it's
Yeah.
almost like you're getting them to divorce who they're married to.
That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, I never heard that, but that I like that.
I love it, man. I love that idea of yeah, that's an interesting psychological way to approach. And the thing that really impressed me about, like, bringing up the objections, is because I always call objections questions, not objections. And the
Yep.
way that you poise, like, is this going to be your forever home, or are you thinking about moving in the next 5 years? And
Yep.
then they answer that, and then that opens up the avenue for you to cover. If they are going to move, it's not going to be a big deal with their solar. And I
No,
love that.
you nailed it. And that question, one, it helps me kind of choose what system might be right for him. But two, it's
Yeah.
also bringing it up an objection. It's the what happens if I move objection, which is a big one. And a lot of people forget to ask it. And I learned in my early years that by losing deals over it, by not having a great response crafted. And so I proactively bring it
Yeah.
up and just knock it out of the way early.
So next, what I want to ask you about, Josh, is like the psychology of how you think about, like, your clients. Because I think there's a lot of people that they look at people that they might do business with, and they just kind of look at them like they have a dollar sign on their forehead. And people just want to like go into their house or go into their business, rip that dollar sign off their forehead, put it in their pocket, and walk out the door. And I didn't get that feeling from you. Like I got the feeling from you that like you're really authentic, you really care about people, you care about like solving a solar problem for them, you want to save them money. I think like for the beginning salespeople, or even the salespeople that are just kind of jaded and maybe in a rut, getting that like feeling that you have back into their business game could help them a lot. Can you talk about a little bit like how much you care about your customers?
Yeah, I don't know how many customers I have at this point, but let's say if it was, if it was 500 customers, for example, like I call them my friends, because that every one of my customer truly turns into a friend, and
Wow.
they invite me to barbecues and go swimming in the summertime, and they truly are friends. Like we see each other at the store, and we shoot the shit, and like they're great people. They really are
I
great
love it.
people, and the way you get there is by doing what you just said. I go to my appointments and I don't like, because I see this happen. Here's the mistake. If I could teach a newer person something, is don't go to your appointment, whatever you do, and don't think about how much am I going to make off this sale? What's my commission going to be? Hey, if I sell this, I could pay this off. You're almost assuredly going to set yourself up for failure, because you're not even thinking about what you should be thinking about is, can I help solve the problem for this customer? I've seen people, even in my industry, literally counting their commission on the way to an appointment. And I was like, you're in the wrong industry if you do that. If you can truly help a person and put their needs first, I never think about any of that. Even when I'm designing it, none of it. The reason I've been so successful is because I actually try to help people. And then at the end of the week, I'm like, man, I signed up 5 people this week. And a lot of people aren't doing that in a month. And it's because I'm trying to help people. I always say this, if you truly help with genuine intentions, people are going to take care of their people, that they're going to refer you. And as a byproduct, you will be successful. So if you just go in there with the intention that you're going to truly help them, whatever it takes. I've sold systems for free, making nothing more times than I can count, just because I know if I truly help them, it's not about that sale. It's they'll send me to their daughter, their neighbor, their coworker, whoever it is. So it's not about the sale you're in front of. It's about who will they refer you to. And so I've sold
Absolutely.
systems for nothing, just doing all the work for completely free. And I've had those turn into referral chains, 12, 15 people deep because of that one sale. And if you have that mindset that, hey, it's not about this one sale, it's about who will they tell you about, you as a byproduct, you will win and rise to the top.
That's awesome. So you discounted the solar system for somebody so low that the profit was out of it. And
I've done
so
that several times. Yep.
really, okay. So since the profit is no longer in the hardware, and are you doing the install for free?
Um, I am on my side. So I
Like
manage the
you're
team.
discounting it so far, you have no commission in the game.
I have no commission in the game. Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Wow.
guess what? The reason I'm able to do that, and again,
Uh-huh.
I don't do that a lot, but I've done that several times over my career for certain
Yeah.
people where it made sense, and just to help them out, and it was the only thing that they can afford, just to make the numbers make sense on. Like one, I remember a gal, Charlotte Horton. She was retired, had just moved into a new house, and just to make the numbers make sense for her. And I think she had another quote. I did it for completely free just to win her business. She was the sweetest old lady. I still talk to her, and I helped her probably 5, 6 years ago. And she sent me a person just about 3 months ago. So she still sends me people, but I'll do that because I know that it's not about me. It's about helping them. And the reason I can do that is because by treating people right, I have so many people that I help on a monthly basis that it doesn't
Right.
hurt me if I do one for free. Like most
Right.
people can't fathom that thought. That they can't wrap their head around, how could you do it for no commission? You have to eat. Well, if you take care of people, you will always have so many deals coming in that I can do that and it doesn't hurt me at all because I got 12 other deals coming behind it because I take care of people.
Man, I had no idea when I asked you that question that you were going to say that. That like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, that blows me away. I can remember back in the day selling software, losing money on a deal, and
Oh yeah.
man, I can't imagine like doing a deal for free. But but I understand. I mean, so I would summarize it and say you play a long game.
I definitely play a long game. I teach the long game, and I definitely that's what I play the long game for sure. And
Man,
it's paid off big time.
wow. You impressed the hell out of me with that. That's amazing. I bought solar, so I know how expensive it can be. But I don't want
Yep.
to say it's expensive on this. I know that like some people might struggle with it, but in the same sense, like me, I'm an ROI guy. And the way I looked at solar was I said, hey, man, I am in debt to that energy company for the rest of my life. And I'm approaching 60. And I'm like, I'm in debt and I'm getting ready to retire. Do I want to be in debt to an energy company for the rest of my life? Or do I want to take control of the energy costs in my house? And to me, it was just an absolute no brainer. I'm like, whether I sign a dotted line and put in solar panels or not, I'm in debt to something that's going to continue to rise based upon gas prices and petroleum prices, and I have no control over it, none whatsoever. It could get atrociously expensive for me, and I have no control over it. And I'm all about trying to control. And I'm like, with solar, I'm in Texas, you're in California.
Yep.
We get a lot of darn sun out here, and
Yeah.
and now the squeakiest guy in the house, if the kids leave the lights on or whatever, or the hot tub gets overheated, any crazy thing goes on, I don't care. I got an energy plant going on over here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. No,
yeah, we're
what you just
turning the
said is
dial back.
what you just said is actually one of the hardest things that people in solar have a hard time relaying to the customer. How you said you're in debt to the energy company. A lot of times people will say, like for example, I don't want to do a 25-year contract. Like this is for how long? 25 years? Like that's too long. And
Yeah,
I say a very similar thing is you're in contract right now with your utility company, except it has no expiration date. You're in contract till the day you die. They're going to send you a power bill. What you're doing is taking control back from the power utility, and now you control when it's paid off. You can pay it off early, or even if you just make your minimum payment, at least you have an end date that you know and you control, that once it's paid off, now you own that asset. And so like that's exactly what you said, it's just a different way of saying it.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I talked myself into it. Like even before I talked to a solar guy, I was running the numbers on it, and I'm like, I'd be crazy not to get solar. Like
Right?
it's just like a no brainer to me to get solar. Particularly like if I was surrounded by a bunch of trees and I couldn't get the sun, that'd be
Then
different. But
that'd be different. Yeah.
like it's beating down on us hard summer after summer after summer. Well, I want to talk about, because I want people to have an appreciation for who you are before I start like sharing or having you share some of your really good bag of tricks. But
Okay.
they need to understand like how much solar you've done. So I was reading here that in a 12-month time period you did 124 projects, pardon me. You did 1,459 kilowatts of solar in the same year, and that sets you in a situation where there's maybe 35 people that sell solar. Okay, that sell
Yeah.
solar in the whole country that come even close to that amount of production.
Correct. Yeah. There's a actual there's an award in the solar industry called
Mhm.
the Golden Door Award, and basically
Okay.
to qualify, you have to either sell 100 projects or 1,000 kilowatt hours in a 12-month period. Um,
Okay.
Most people don't do both; it's one or the other. And so, but yeah, I did. I did 124 projects and 1,459 kilowatts in a 12-month period. So just crushed through both of the entry points.
Man, dude, that is so awesome. And after reading your book and understanding, your process, I can understand, but you're also an extremely hard worker.
I do work a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you work smart. I mean, from reading your book, I mean, I got that feeling too. Um, okay, so I'm going to share with people things that are kind of a dying art, but I'll ask you questions to get
Okay.
you to share like what you do that are a dying art that really
Okay.
isn't done that much in business anymore. But okay, we'll set up a scenario. You just had a sale today. I'm sure you probably did, or this week, or maybe six of them. And and So I'm a new customer and I walk
Okay.
over to my mailbox a few days later. What am I going to find in my mailbox?
So you're going to get a handwritten letter from me, just introducing myself and just saying, "Hey, this is Josh. I thank you for taking the time to meet with me, and I look forward to guiding you through this process and even long after." And I make sure to put that in there, even long after, because I want them to know that unlike most people, like in our industry, and it happens everywhere, that once the sale's done, you usually don't see that salesperson anymore. And I tell all my customers, I'm as long as you're in this home, and I'll follow you to the next home too, but I'm here to help you. So, like,
Yeah.
I have customers from when I first started, 6 years ago that still call me, and I still do bill reviews for them, and I still answer the phone. The sale was done years ago, but I'm still there to help them, and that's why they think of me when their friends talk about solar, because they're
Yeah.
like, "I still talk to my guy, but the person who bought solar 3 months ago, they can't even remember the person's name." And I got people from years ago talking, ranting, and raving about me.
That's so awesome. So anybody that does solar or any business that's similar that you think it's a one and done. So Josh, he provides a service and a product that lowers people's energy bills tremendously, and so to drive that home and to drive more business, every quarter you take some of your customers and you review their bill.
Yeah, I started off proactively reaching out to my customers when I was newer, 'cause I didn't have as many customers as I do now. But now
Yeah,
I tell my customers every 'cause I wouldn't be able to fit them all on my calendar, but now I tell my customers
yeah,
every 3 months, "Send me your bill, and I'll do a free quarterly bill power audit for you." And basically, I just look at their bill and make sure that their system's performing how I told them, making sure that their usage is in line with what we expected, and make sure that there's no surprises. So they're not gonna have any surprises at the end of the month or the end of the year. And they appreciate that because people's power bills they're when they go solar, they're purposely hard to read. And so I know how to read them. I've been doing it a long time. Just send it to
yeah.
me. I'll mark it all up. I'll send it back to you with notes, arrows, telling you what to look for. You're doing great, thumbs up, and I'll talk to you again in 2 3 months. But it does two things. It really reassures them that, like, hey, everything's going great, and then also it keeps me fresh in their mind every 2 3 months.
Absolutely.
And then when it's doing great, because I mark it up, I usually slap my logo on there, which has my phone number on it, and I always say, "Hey, your system's kicking butt. Like, hey, by the way, you should throw this on your social media." Like, I'll encourage them. I'll say, "Hey, you should post this on your social media." A lot of people are getting crazy power bills, and you have negative bills. It, like, you will assuredly probably get 2 or 3 people that will say, like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then that will be an
Yeah.
easy $1,000 referral for you as a bonus. So I take something that nobody's doing, I turn it into a service, and then I turn it into a lead magnet.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it, and that's something too that I really want to ask you questions on. So your idea of a referral isn't like just getting done with, you know, working with the customer and just saying, and this is what most people do in sales, is they say, "Hey, do you have two names to give me?" I mean,
Right, right.
it's really
Yeah.
bad, like what goes on. Like, hey, can you think of anybody that might be interested in a solar panel system that you just got? Maybe an aunt, an uncle, fraternity brother, sorority sister, whatever. Um, and but what I like about the what you do is that you give an incentive, and it's not a one-time incentive. So I'm going to be quiet and let you talk about like how you
Yeah.
incentivize your base to keep bringing you opportunity.
Yeah, so, when I got into the solar industry, I quickly found out that there was, a lot of companies, almost every company would do the same incentive, and it was, "You get $500, you get $500," which is great, so it's a lot of money, but I noticed everybody was doing that, and I didn't wanna be just everybody, so I'm like, "I wanna stand out, I'm gonna offer 1,000." Why? Because nobody's doing it. That's why I wanna do
Okay.
it. So I
Okay.
bring it up proactively, so as opposed to I actually usually don't ask for the referral at the end. I do it in a way that prompts them to give me referrals, and I'll explain that. So, if I was
Hmm.
helping you,
Go ahead.
John, somewhere after you're signing up all the paperwork at the end, I'll say something to the effect, and I've probably already mentioned it earlier on in the game too. So this is the second time you're hearing it, and I'll say, "Hey, John, by the way, our company does a really cool thing. If you ever refer somebody back to the person that helped you, so that would be me, and they end up signing up, our company will give you $500 as a referral. And they usually say, oh, that's awesome. And then I'll tell them, I've been doing a company match for years. So when my customers refer people back to me, I give you $1,000 every time ongoing. And a lot of times they go, wow, $1,000, like that's pretty cool. And then immediately their
So do
brains
they get
start.
1,500 or do you match like 500,
I
500?
I match 500, 500, yeah. And so,
Oh, okay.
so now they're like, okay, they're like, the wheels are turning. And so a lot of times, what often happens, I didn't ask for anybody, I'm just telling them about it. But oftentimes, what happens is they'll say like, hey, well, I'm gonna get you in contact with my brother, or hey, my sister. Do you go out to San Jose, or hey, do you work out in Bakersfield or Dublin? And so it usually sparks that conversation. And so that's what plants it in their mind. I actually had one guy, he's in my book. You probably read, his name's Mitch Willingham. And when I told him this at the kitchen table, his eyes lit up and he was like, you give how much? And I was like, $1,000. I said, they have to sign up, of course. You can't just give me a list of names that don't sign up. And he looked at me dead silent and he's like, I'm gonna be your number one silent sales partner. And he was like dead serious. And I was like, that would be awesome, man. And I kid you
Yeah.
not, to this day, he sent me, I think 16, 17 people as of now in about like a 2-year time span. So he's got
Wow.
17 $1,000 checks. So
Wow.
just from one guy.
Wow.
And
Yeah,
I
that
have tons of
supplements his
people that,
income. Are you going to 1099 him? No, I'm kidding.
yeah, I know he probably should be.
I'm teasing.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. I love it. Like that kind of repeat business. So you're playing the long game,
yeah,
and you got a string attached to your clients where they're throwing the ball of string back to you over and over and over and over, and there's something in it for them. Like,
correct.
yeah, that's so man. That's such a win-win situation that you've set up, Josh. Okay, so so I want to get you to tell some stories real quick. I won't keep you much longer, but I want you to tell people like, okay, yeah, my wife and I bought the solar system from you, the solar panels. Maybe we shouldn't call it a
Okay.
solar system so people don't think we got planets living in our attic. But so we bought the system from you, and it's install day. Talk to me about what install day is like going to be like for me, being a
Yeah,
customer of yours.
so install day to me is like the Super Bowl, right? So like when I first signed you up, like we met, we talked about, hey, this great system, what it's going to do to your bill, how it's going to look, what's going to happen. You understand all that. Then there was this process. It was anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks where I was keeping you up to date of, hey, we got permits back, hey, structural engineering's back, and just keeping you abreast of what's happened. But now it's install day, and so now it's like championship game day. And so the system's going on. A lot of people don't show up to their installs. And so it's a huge miss. Like, so I show up, and why? Because I don't have to, but I show up because I want to show them that, like, hey, I'm here. I care about you guys. Like, I want to make sure that things go smoothly. I know you're going to have questions. I want to be here to answer it for you. So I will show up, and I usually have a couple things. I usually have a couple cool unknown surprise gifts for the customer. And so
Yeah,
I'll usually that they don't know about, because by the way, if you tell them what you're going to do, then they just expect it. But if you don't tell
right.
them about anything, then they really appreciate it. And so I'll show up with a lot of times I'll do if I have it on me, I'll do a personal knife. And so like I have one right here. I got to give to a customer, and it'll have their name engraved on it. And so
That's
not only is
cool.
it a knife, it's like a 200 something dollar knife, but it's custom engraved with their name. And so they're like, wow, you took the time to like put thought into this. And then maybe I'll get them a Yeti cooler on top of that. And they're like, wow, like these are expensive. Like this is cool. And they're like,
How much is a
man,
Yeti cooler? I'm just curious.
what is it?
No, how much is like a Yeti cooler that you might take out
There's
to a
a
client?
there's a bunch of them. The ones I get are after tax, they're about $275.
Whoa, it's like a $300 cooler.
Yep. And so
Wow,
they're getting some cool gifts. Then
you can get
then
a
what I'm
refrigerator
doing,
for that.
that's right. I slap my solar dude sticker on it, right? Because
Yeah,
I want to get people cool gifts, and then gifts that they're
yeah,
going to use. So like I know guys are going to always carry that pocket knife. So every time they pull it out, they're going to think of me. When that Yeti cooler, they're on the boat, they're at the backyard, in the pool,
yep.
they're going to think of Josh. Then I fly my drone around, and now I'm getting social media footage. So I'm flying my drone around for social media content that I'm going to repurpose later. and use it for online marketing. And then I also take still shots because I know that if I did my job before I leave that install day, I'll say, John, hey, if you don't mind, quick favor, if you had a great experience, and I already know they did. So, John, if you don't mind, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, if I shot you a text message with a direct link, would you mind dropping us a great review? And they always go, oh yeah, like you've been awesome. I will definitely do that. And so while the iron is hot, within the next 15 minutes on the way home, I'm going to shoot you that link, and then I'm going to attach a couple of the pictures that I just took of your house with my drone. That it looks great. And I'll say, hey, if you don't mind attaching 2 or 3 of your favorite pictures, so now they're going to leave a great review. They're going to attach the pictures, and guess which reviews are going to get looked at the most? The ones that have pictures that have my name attached to it. And so it completes the whole
Is that
cycle.
like a Facebook or Google review?
I usually do Google reviews. And so
Okay.
yeah, it goes right to Google reviews. So like I think we as a company we have like 220 5-star reviews, and over 100 of them are mine.
Wow. I love it. That's man, there's so much goodness there. I want to go over like some of these points because I'm a big believer in like repetition when you're teaching. But like one thing I saw you do, which I just absolutely loved when you were talking about your referral program, Josh, you
Yeah.
said our company. And that is so awesome because it takes the stress off you. It makes it comfortable for the customer because this is something that happens all the time. Our company does this. They will give you $500 if you give me a referral, and I will match it. And then you're coming in with your own personal sweetener. That's what we call it, as a sweetener.
Sweetener, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And then you just keep adding sweeteners. You do the personal sweetener with the thank you letter, and then and it's a handwritten thank you letter. Most people wouldn't do that. And then you're there on install day, and at the height of their anxiety, you're hitting them with a cooler, because everybody like that buys something as a homeowner. I can tell you this after being a homeowner for 20 some odd years. When you have a contractor of any type to your house, you're like, oh, what the hell's going to happen today? Like, you're just thinking like, oh no, what's going to happen today? And you're bringing them a cooler with your logo on it, or
Yep.
a knife, and then you're taking those drone pics, and then you're asking them to give you a positive review when the endorphins are cranking well and everything. I mean, it's just sells gold goodness all the
Yep.
way around. Like, it's just like, it's what most people won't do. That's why you're probably like top 4% in the nation, I'm guessing, like in your, and how many sales guys you got working for you?
We just hired a small handful, but so now we have it's a small team, but we do a
Hmm.
lot of volume. We probably have 15 to 17 sales guys and sales gals on the team. Um, and we only service like a 2-hour radius of our hometown, but we
Yeah,
do a lot of volume, and it's mostly all referrals.
it sounds like it. And so you got 17 people on your team. Do they all report to you?
They all report to myself, and then a gentleman named Ryan Glazier, who is my co-manager. I mean, and we
Yeah.
run the team together. And
Okay.
I'm just more actively involved in personal sales myself. So I run the team, and then I'm a big believer. I always have been in the fitness industry that I was in for 13 years. That I
Yeah.
lead by example. So I always want to try to lead by example, and always want to be top on the leaderboard, just to show people what's possible. Like, hey, I could lead the team, and I could be at the top of the leaderboard. So if I can do it, you have much more time than I do. You should be beating me. But I always still want to just push myself and try to be, number one, or up there at the top every single month, just because I'm super hyper competitive.
No, no, I understand them. So are you doing like training with your people on a daily or weekly basis?
It can be both. It's definitely on a weekly basis. My phone rings all hours. I get phone calls, no kidding, 11 o'clock, 12 midnight, 6
I
in the
believe it.
morning, Saturday, Sunday. Like my hundreds of calls. It's insane. But I do one-on-ones with the team. What we do on Fridays, like tomorrow, we're gonna do. We always do weekly trainings where we'll put together like a sales presentation that I'll usually run. But then there's just a lot of calls because you got 17 guys and gals calling with you know how do I build the system? Hey, I got this objection. Hey, I'm going up against these 3 companies. How do I beat them? Hey, Josh, what
Okay.
would you say? What would you say here? And so I'm always trying to help the team win deals and train and develop them while doing my personal sales too.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. So when you say you're getting calls, it's not necessarily customers as much as it is the sales team.
Oh, it's definitely both.
Okay. All right. All
Yeah,
good. All good.
yeah, there's definitely a bunch, which
Yeah.
is totally fine. It's totally fine by me. Like
Uh-huh.
this is I designed it this way, and
Okay.
it's a lot of work, but it does what I wanted it to do, which is churns out referrals day after day, week after week. Matter of fact, I got another
Yeah.
one this morning.
Man, I believe it, man. You definitely got the referral machine cranking. As I was reading your book, it just like brought back memories of my youth to me. And I was sitting there thinking, like when I was a brand new, like you think of like Luke Skywalker, when I was a brand new
Yeah,
Padawan,
yeah.
and I'm sitting there thinking, like I got my very first sales job, I made my very first sale, and I remember the company I was working for was like, do a handwritten note. And I was like, a handwritten note. And I hadn't thought about that like for, a really long time, because some of the businesses I've been in, unfortunately, I haven't done any, I haven't done as many like handwritten notes as I did like when I was just really first starting out. And then when you're talking about having like unique gifts and, making install day exciting and everything, I was thinking about back in the day when I was in the technology business, we used to take a gas powered Hummer and we
Okay.
would put our business information in it, and we would like overnight it to a large corporation and say, hey, give us a meeting. Who's not going
Okay.
to give
Yeah,
you a
yeah.
meeting? We just gave you an amazing toy for your backyard, either for yourself or for
Okay.
your and we used to get meetings with like
That's
major
cool.
companies in Dallas. And I thought about that, and then I thought about like when I used to do sales, particularly in technology, where it was a partnership, and I needed to like be a partner with a corporate representative and me, because I was a middleman. And
Okay.
so I'd always like take them to play golf, take them out to eat, take them to lunch, buy
Yep.
concert tickets for him. One guy, I remember, I bought him some Dominican, like a whole case of Dominican Republic cigars. You
That's cool,
know,
man. That's
so
super cool.
but like I hadn't thought of any of that until like I was reading your book, and I was like going, man, maybe I should get back to like some of my roots, like some you just kind of
It
like,
works, man.
yeah, you hit the pillow and you forget about stuff. And
You do.
reading your book just brought back a lot of really cool memories. But hey, man, go ahead and promote whatever you want to promote. Hopefully, this helps you and your team to sell more solar panels. But go ahead and like promote whatever you want to promote, and then I'll promote what I'm going to promote.
Yeah, so if anybody wants to learn more about my exact process, I don't leave anything out. You can go on Amazon, the Ultimate Referral Machine. You can find it there. Again, in about a week, I will have the updated manuscript. So maybe give it a week, but I'll have the updated book on there. People can follow me on social media. The Real Solar Dude on Facebook, or my Instagram is j.w.clark_1. If people want to follow me, kind of just see what I do and kind of what my life's about, and I post a lot of my business on there as far as the solar as well. And yeah, and if they want to shoot me just questions, I'm more than happy to help anyone.
And I would highly recommend that if you need some inspiration, Josh's book is very inspirational. And I can tell you, like from being in sales for over 30 years, man, you need a good kick in the pants. Like money's not going to always do it for you. Like you need a big kick in the pants to play the game harder. You're not going to come
Yeah.
out to play the big game if you don't have inspiration, if you don't have gas in the tank. And most of the time, it's mental gas in the tank. It's not. You can't eat a big meal and go out and sell a bunch of stuff. You got to
No,
get inspired,
that's true.
and you can't pour from an empty cup. I'll go ahead and promote what I do.
I am John the Sales Warrior Sansoni. I've been professionally selling successfully for 34 years. What can I teach you? How to prospect, present, follow up, and most importantly, how to close. I have a 3-day masterclass that includes inspiration, motivation, and the mental tools to succeed in business and sales. My course includes worksheets, audio, video, and can be taken in 30 action blocks. Also included, how to have greater confidence. My course should be $400. If you get it today, $29.95. And included my book for free. Once purchased, you'll get free monthly inspiration from me. Just go to saleswarriorinspire.com and order yours today. That's it. Back to the show.
John, that sounds awesome. For all that information, $29, and you're going to get 30 hours of coursework, your book, and they can pick your brain on cold outreach. I mean, that's an absolute no-brainer for anybody in the sales game. Low point of entry, anybody can do that. I would highly advise that they take you up on that offer.
Man, I appreciate it, Josh. I'm just really trying to give back. Like you, you don't want to like leave this planet and realize that all you did was make money. Like that's got to be the most empty feeling in the world to not give back.
Do you mind if I say one thing real quick, John? Could you?
Yeah, man, go ahead. Yeah.
So what you just said, just real quick, when I was early on in my sales career, up until maybe even like 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
Everything that, like, for example, that's in my book, my strategies.
Yeah.
People on my team didn't even know half the stuff because I wanted, like, my mind was like, I worked so hard for this. Like, why do I want to create my own competition? Like, this is stuff that I do. I don't want to give away my secrets. As I've gotten older and as I've had much success, I realized that it's not about just me winning. It's about helping other people win. And so I'm now at the point where, like, I want to watch other people win. And in two things, most people, the honest truth is, aren't going to do the work anyways. But I like the people that do, because out of 100 people, if you got 10 that actually read your book, and then you got 5 that do some of the work, but you got 1 who's that absolute stud, and he's like, I'm going to implement all this and crush it. If you can help change that guy's life, that's what it's all about. And I now thrive on watching other people change their life.
Oh man, that's awesome. I think we're going to end the show right there. You can't end the show better than that, Josh. Wow. So this has been a fantastic episode to have you on for Sales Warrior War Room. Come on, say it with me.
Sales Warrior War Room.
Awesome. I like it. So Josh and I are going to sign off. So Josh from California, go ahead and sign off. Sales Warrior War Room.
Awesome.
Till next time, this is Sales Warrior War Room.